Thank you, Summer. Thank you very much. So we are UNESCO Body and Mind Wellness. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We're located in downtown Frederick. We're trying to be more visible, and we've been more in the past, more focused on international affairs. But in the last year and a half, we've been much more attention on the local community. And so we're affiliated with UNESCO. Show of hands, how many are familiar with UNESCO as an organization? I mean, so many know about it as its connection with heritage sites. But actually, it's really about global peace, and it's like a grassroots movement, club-based, and it can become a nonprofit organization if you so register yourself. And we really try to emphasize the inner peace and taking that from community to community, so we have that global movement of world peace. So that's really what it's all about. We're under the umbrella of the UN. So we have 3 flagship programs. The first one is about ecosystem stewardship. We facilitate nature hikes, and through those nature hikes, we engage in Mother Nature's experiences and learn from that and appreciate our stewardship with Mother Nature. Second flagship is about supporting the arts. And so for those budding young artists that want a platform to express themselves, their creativity, we supply that and facilitate their self-esteem building, their confidence in that arena. And our most important program is Rewind for a Better Life, and that's what we're going to be emphasizing today's presentation in. And what is Rewind for a Better Life? It's really about facilitating mental and emotional wellness in the community. And we have 2 different programs, one for youth and one for adults. And so we're going to talk a lot more about that, engage you with polling questions and elaborate upon what that program is all about. Like Summer said, I'm Secretary and Treasurer for UNESCO Body and Mind Wellness. This is Satya Krishnan, as Summer said, and Summer is very much engaged with our youth programming. And so we're so glad to have her on the board. Satya?
Hi everyone, I'm so grateful to talk to you guys about mental health stigma today through the UNESCO Rewind program. And as you can see, our president, Ms. Zore, she couldn't make it today as she is traveling, but she definitely sends her blessings.
Yes, she probably would be remiss if I didn't mention that. I'm glad Satya said that, because she's our president and she really wanted to be here, but her mom is really deathly sick, and so that was top priority, of course. Also, we have a rich website, by the way, and we'll reinforce that. We encourage you to go to our website, UNESCO BMW.org. BMW doesn't stand for the car, it stands for Body and Mind Wellness, so it's a little catchy phrase. And so, we got to have a really rich website, and encourage you to see what it's all about there. Thank you. Yeah, so just to let you know an overview, we're going to have some dynamic polling questions. We were going to do it with QR code, but that's not working out, so we're going to engage you with interactively live right here in person. And we'll have some polling questions that'll help stimulate this topic about stigma and how we can get beyond it and be aware of it more and its presence and how it's affecting us as a society. Of course, then we'll talk about Rewind for a Better Life, that programming, what that's all about. And then we'll take a nice journey of the heart. I'll be the facilitator for that, and I'm looking forward to guiding you through a little snippet of what Rewind for a Better Life is all about and how we incorporate that into community offerings free of charge as community service. And then we'll have a closing question and a takeaway, and we'll engage you with a little bit of a thought-provoking takeaway.
Okay, so we're going to start with our polling question, but before we start with our polling question, I would like to ask all of you guys, kind of just for yourselves, why are we here today? And this is very important because knowing the cause of why we're here today is probably the reason why we all showed up in this collective gathering, because we're all health. So I want to talk a little bit about history. Historically, when bacteria was first discovered, viruses, other scientific discoveries, it had its own stigma. Nowadays, we all wash our hands. It's kind of very well known that yes, bacteria exist, the earth is round, all that stuff is there. So, but the point is that mental health is very new, obviously, which is the reason why it has stigma. And people are questioning it, like we can't see mental health all the time. Same thing with bacteria, which is why we didn't really believe in it at first. But as soon as we started seeing it, as soon as we started having research behind it, we started believing it more. There's less stigma against it. And that's the same thing with mental health. Just because you can't always see it doesn't mean it's not there. So we're going to start with our polling questions. As we said that we had a QR code so then you guys could do it on your phones, but we're just going to try to make it as interactive as possible. You guys can kind of like yell out the answers. Try to be a little loud so then we can kind of hear you and other people can hear you as well. So the first question is, in your view, is stigma towards other cultures' beliefs in mental health primarily rooted in which of the following? You don't have to say fear or lack of knowledge and understanding. I want you guys to be a little creative. So we would like to have at least 3 speakers speak on this topic. Is anyone interested in calling out any answers?
Don't be shy.
Yeah.
Sure. So I think it's actually fear and lack of understanding and knowledge. I think it goes back a significant amount of history wrapped around the lack of understanding and knowledge of mental health. And then I think there's fear of, because of that lack of understanding and knowledge, there's fear that they will be looked at differently or probably be put in, categorized into maybe they're going to do something harmful to someone else. I look at it from a social media and how our news makes it an entertainment. So anybody that does anything wrong, whether it is mass shootings or whatever, I feel like our media has turned it into, oh, they have mental health issues. So if anybody has a mental health issue, specifically in different cultures, they're not going to speak up because they're not going to be pegged as a mass murderer.
That's very true.
Very insightful, very insightful.
Anybody else? Oh.
Okay, thank you for this question. I guess it can come from different perspectives and stigma, and I would say actually all of those also applied, fear. I know in culture, for example, I think I talked earlier a little bit about culture in Jamaica. Because of fear, no one speaks about stigma, because they fear that they're going to be stigmatized, or because their family will be stigmatized, the whole community will be stigmatized. So it's a huge issue, especially in Latin America and the Caribbean. It's a huge, huge issue when it comes down to stigma, and it all ties into fear. Lack of understanding and knowledge. And we'll hear a little bit more about this later in the interactive workshop that we'll do, because that is a major, major part of it as well. People are fear of what they don't know, and that goes for stigma as well, or mental health issues. And I was just speaking to someone in the hall, and I was saying, when I started doing presentation, I've done tons of presentation, both nationally and internationally and regionally. And one of the emphasis, and that was because coming from an academic background, the emphasis was just to focus, say, on mental health. And if you remember, our former Surgeon General, he came out with he coined the term, there's no health without mental health, the former Surgeon General Satcher. And for that, it's so true. But one of the things we were talking about, as academics, we were taught to focus just on mental health, not include the substance use piece of it, the substance use disorder, and that was a huge emphasis. And because there are lots of stigma that surrounds that. And again, it's because of lack of understanding. There are other issues as well as, say, if I'm being stigmatized and I'm your friend, you're also stigmatized because, you associate
Very good point,
me,
very good.
me with you. And so because of that, there is, again, it all ties into those three. So it's excellent, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's an amazing answer. Society plays a big role. Anybody else?
Everybody's saying, I think, the right things, and I think I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about this from a different direction, and it's those unknowns generationally for a long time from our primal selves have been villainized as evil in a society that is built around faith. And so sometimes in the majority of our belief systems, we have tied some kind of evil juju or voodoo associated with people who behave in these ways, and we burned them. It's like in Encanto, if you've seen the movie, like, don't talk about Bruno. Like, put the mental health in the walls and spackle over it, and that becomes an abscess in society. So we're basically trying to walk away from generations of an abscess in our society, and how do you get rid of that? You open it up. You have to talk about it, like in this room.
That's a very good point, yes.
Yes, I agree with everything that's been said. There's so much fear out there, and it's just, talking about suicide is basically, it's like the modern day leprosy. And, and people are afraid of, of being a friend of somebody who has thoughts of suicide or mental health challenges or substance use disorder, or they're afraid they'll say the wrong thing, and so this is why education is so important, to let people know that the reality is, by the statistics, 5% of American adults seriously consider suicide every year, but nobody talks, or few people, not nobody, but there are not enough people talking about not only, yes, the devastating suicide loss, but also recovery from suicidal ideation and suicide attempts. So thank you.
Mental illness is so diverse and not very easy to identify, so much of our society says, let's just put it under the rug and it's not comfortable to even address it. It still is very pervasive. You would think that would be gone by now, but no, it's still very pervasive in our society.
Yes, that's very true, and all of your answers were so great. Let's go to our next question. Have you ever personally experienced or witnessed any kind of stigma around the mental health area at all? Does anyone want to answer? You guys can share your own stories, or you guys can just share facts with us.
So, yes, I've experienced it myself. Yes, I've witnessed it in others. For me, I think I'm not sure if before it happened to me, I actually don't think I really understood it. I wasn't fearful of it, but I wasn't able to, for those who had gone through, debilitating anxiety and panic disorders, depression, I couldn't
understand what they were going through because I had never experienced it. So I never knew what to say. I never knew how to be around them. And I didn't, this is gonna be really harsh to say, but it's not, I didn't believe them. I'm like, suck it up, you'll be fine, kind of thing. And then I think it was because I had made it through some hard times myself, and then the panic, I got diagnosed with panic disorder and depression, but I wasn't willing to accept it. I was convinced that my doctors were wrong. I was convinced that I was dying. I had some underlying disease, and I was going to cardiologists and wearing heart monitors around because I was convinced I was dying. I did not have mental health issues. Now that I've been through it, and now that I've watched my son go through it, I think it's more about us who have been through these, or had these experiences, is sharing our personal stories so that they truly could understand what it feels like. Because I think it's us getting down and dirty and telling people, I couldn't take a shower for 4 days, and my mom had to come over and get in the shower with me at 45 years old because I was deathly afraid that I was gonna die in the shower. So it's getting down to those very specific details so people can truly understand how it takes living away from you. And I can understand why people attempt suicide, because it takes your life away. Mental health takes your life away, and you don't know how to cope.
You know, the physical ailments, as a physical therapist, physical ailments is easy to identify and diagnose, but you know, when it comes to mental health, it gets a little bit fuzzy-wuzzy, and people would rather say, you know, it's too complicated, you know, let's not deal with it, or let's put it aside, or let's minimize it, however it may be approached. You know, when I would go see a patient in the hospital, you know, I would be there for a physical ailment for them, and I worked part-time for a while there at the hospital here locally, and the days that I wasn't working there, I would find out that they were requesting me to come, me personally, be their physical therapist, even though I wasn't working that day. And I come to find out that what it was is that I was also addressing their emotional challenges going on with their physical dynamic. Because of that, they felt that greater healing taking place. So let's not minimize, you know, the emotional aspect, because the physical aspect has a component also. And there is usually a physical component with mental, with emotional, mental issues also, of course. You know, some anxiety, or you feel like your heart's palpitating, so you have some physical dynamics going on, of course.
I love that you shared your own story and that you were honest with yourself, and that's basically the point of these poll questions, is because change comes from self-realization, right? So that's where we have to you guys can even ask these questions to yourself, write it down. This is meant to help you. So is anyone else willing to share?
So I was going to say, in working with women with substance use disorders, mental health comes hand in hand with what we do. And the stigma around that is tremendous. We see it all the time when they're going to the doctor's offices, when they're taking their children to school. There will be people whispering behind them. I mean, really and I am a person in long-term recovery, but until I got into this and really walking side by side with these mothers, I don't think even I realized how big the stigma was. And that contributes to their depression. It contributes to, you know, them not believing that they're worthy of being mothers and that they're capable of doing this. And so our advocacy has to be that much more revved up, because a lot of times we're not only helping them to enter recovery, but we're their cheerleaders, basically, because when they go out into the world, it's just nothing but stigma, you know. And it's really hard to watch, and I love that we're doing this and talking about it because it is so hard. And on top of the perinatal and the postpartum of having children, it is very challenging. It is very challenging, and I love what Monica shared about, like, on the news, associating, actions with mental health. That has also become something that we're noticing. So it's very difficult for these mothers at this point.
That was very touching for you to share that. Wow.
Thank you for this question, and I will just refer people to what I put in the slides is, Dr. Vivek Murthy published a book called Together, the Healing Power of Human Connection in a Sometimes Lonely World, and it literally came out in March 2020, right at the beginning of the pandemic, and he did it, and he said, the number of people, that it's a huge problem, or I don't have my notes, but the number of people who feel loneliness is epidemic of loneliness, and we connection. We heal through community. We heal through connection, community, and this is why I think that peer support groups can be very helpful, which kind of get over the mental health and substance use, because if everybody there has a substance use disorder or mental health challenges, then we can just talk as people. And I think Dr. Murthy also said, loneliness can cause as many health problems as smoking. 15 cigarettes a day. I imagine many of you all have heard that statistic. And, human connection builds, is healing. So, honorary Frederick County Gala, end of January, healing through the power of community. Sorry.
Well done, well done.
Good plug.
Okay, the third question is, do you feel you hold any personal biases or stigmatizing beliefs about any kind of stigma, especially around mental health? Do you personally hold any stigma? Is anyone willing to share one or two?
That requires a little bit of introspection, but if you have the courage to share that, that'd be great.
Well, it's okay if we don't have anyone that's willing to share, because we can always go through how we personally do have biases. It's kind of normal to have biases and stigma, and every single one of us do, because we're all raised in different ways. We're all raised in different communities, different cultures, and maybe that can be really beautiful, especially because in this one room, I can already see so many faces, so many backgrounds, so many colors, so many races, and so many stories. So obviously, like when we're having these interactive discussions, and this is the last question, trust me, but this is really trying to open doors to new ideas. And based on what this lovely lady that was sitting right here was saying, I actually wanted to kind of go beyond that a little bit. There was a study done, I think it was in the University of Maryland, where there was two groups of mice. One group was shown to kind of like other mice, kind of like socializing, with other toys. They were just being social and happy, and the next group, Group B, was isolated. And they were shown different substances to be addicted to. The non-social group was significantly higher in addiction rates than the social group. So that's why socializing, we're all social creatures, even mice are social creatures. It's very important that we have to realize that we may all be out here, but we also may be lonely sometimes. Like we go to school, we go to work, and sometimes we're lonely, and it's important to kind of realize that. But
And just with this third question, personal bias, in all fairness, when we may not be in touch with our personal biases, it really takes to getting into our heart space and really feeling where we are to really get down deep and really understand that we may have a personal bias. And so when we do later on the inner heart journey, travel within ourselves, later on, we'll get in touch more with our heart space and see if we can identify maybe and dissipate much more easily because we're in that heart space. Yes.
So I'm going to share this from the perspective of my mother. I was having a conversation with her about 3 years ago, just before I got married, and I was sharing a fear with her, and her response to me was, well, you just need to get over that. And I looked at her and I said, Mom, that is not how trauma works. And she argued back. She said, oh, yes, it is. Just look at me and my siblings. And that was when it hit me that I had been carrying that with me for my entire adult life. That her and her siblings had swept all of their traumas under the carpet. And I was trying to break free of that mentality.
Yeah, we carry so much on a cellular level, down deep, and it's not like we're trying to hide, it's just kind of hidden from us, and so we get down deep into feeling it, engaging into that beautiful well of our heart space that, you know, it has that emotional intelligence. And so later on, I'm just giving a little primer to what we can experience later on.
We have one more here.
You've gone to the thing that I was trying to get at, the DNA. Like, I think we all have to start to look in our DNA, like even our national DNA. So we are Americans, most of us are Americans in this room. I think that if you're an American, you're born into a society that feeds into the possible challenges of mental health issues, mostly because of how they ask us to seek our identities from childhood on up. And if you do not hit the milestones of identity according to how society has shown you per your socioeconomic, demographic, blah, 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 all the things, then you are already not achieving your American identity. And so in our DNA from our generations before, if your father was depressed because he didn't become the thing that someone told him or showed him, and so he's living a life of this and passes that down. And like my mother was an immigrant who came to this country and was human trafficked briefly when she got to this country, and then is raising children from the aspect of her first American taste was, I got ya, we're gonna keep ya. And so I think there are multiple generations beyond that, that if you start to think, pull yourself up from your bootstraps, and if you can't, you're a failure as an American, because that's in our DNA, and then start to understand if you have some kind of stigma within you that you haven't addressed or been vocal about. And I know that might be triggering for some people or very hard to start to tap into, but that is the biggest place that I think that we have to start to look into that inner DNA cellular practice.
So true.
Yeah, muscle memory. We have generational muscle memory that we're fighting every day. And this lady said breaking free of it. Like, I'm the one who is now trying to break the shackles of these stigmas from generations before us that we don't even know. You know. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
That was an amazing answer.
I think we have just one more briefly over here, Sharon.
Okay, thank you. I'll just look at it from the academic point of view. There was a recent study that was done, and there were more than one, but this one was under Harvard, and what they looked at were healthcare professionals who actually care for people with mental health issue that were also professional themselves, and they were stigma from two perspectives. 75% of healthcare professionals had some form of stigmatization towards not just patients, but anyone with mental health issue. And one of the things that you say is like, that they found that was most repeatedly was, get over it. You can get over it. And this was a study that was done out of Harvard. Another one by Dr. Gibson that was done in Latin America was the same thing, was healthcare professionals. Again, they do not believe in stigma, and they also felt stigmatized their own patient. And another part of that was actually healthcare professionals themselves, and I actually talked about one with SUD, with substance use disorder, because they thought that they would be ostracized by their own community. They weren't able to share, or they were afraid to share with others about having some form of mental health issue themselves, yet they have to take care of patients. So there's where the transference come in. You know, are they going to be able to do a really good job when they themselves are doing what we call internal stigmatization of themselves to have someone else? So, you know, it comes in from all different perspectives individually. So we've talked about the micro and the macro, the community-wise, institutional, or the individual. So it's many, many different levels.
Thank you for sharing that.
That was an amazing answer as well. We're gonna skip the word cloud because we're gonna go straight into the Rewind program, which you guys are gonna see a small sneak peek of. So briefly about the Rewind program, what better way of breaking stigma than you guys practicing mental health yourselves? This is basically gonna give you guys time to practice mental health, maybe once a week, maybe twice a week, whenever you have time. I'm sure all of you guys are parents, all of you have jobs, all of you volunteer, all of you guys have different commitments, but this is the time where you can take for yourself. After 8 sessions, you can actually become an ambassador, and even with just 1 or 2 sessions, you guys can get like a participation certificate. If that is what you guys want, you guys can just email us at info@unescobmw.org. We do a lot of community workshops and programs. You sometimes will see us randomly in Urbana or in Frederick hosting different events. And we promote self-awareness, self-mastery, empathy, and trust to reduce stigma.
It's all free as a community service. You know, we're funded by grants and donations, so we want everyone to have access to it if they want access to it. So this is nothing new for you all. You know, we get into our imbalances. You know, we see it in society, maybe in ourselves, overthinking, overanalyzing things. You know, obsessing, maybe going the other way and going into negative thoughts, negative emotions, and then causing maybe some anxiety about how things are going to work out in the future. Going to the other side of it, going to a depressive state, you feel like I don't want to deal with anything, and just want to check out. So these are things that, you know, just drag us down and don't uplift us, obviously. So how do we get beyond these symptoms? You have to go to the roots. We all know that. Get to the source, the roots, just like a tree with healthy roots, it's going to thrive and shine with its leaves and flowers and colors. If the roots aren't dealt with, you know, the source of those issues, then we're just caught up in the symptoms and putting band-aids on those symptoms. So with Rewind for a Better Life, we really try to tap into our, get a little bit medical here, into our parasympathetic nervous system, that resting calm state within us, that balanced state of harmony, where we're in the present moment, and minimize the sympathetic, which is that fight, you know, push forward with life with our ego, and caught up in anxiety, worries about the future, or the other side of our sympathetic, which is the flight, which is about trying to check out, pull away from life, you know, reminisce and indulge in our emotions and feelings and unforgivenesses and regrets, and ultimately getting depressed and maybe suicidal. So we need to have that equilibrium. Everything in nature is in harmony and balance. Why aren't we? We are part of nature, right? Why aren't we? So when we do our little exercise, going into our heart space, we're going to really tap into that harmony of nature and be part and parcel of it.
Yes. So a little bit more about the Rewind program. It's designed for teens and adults. It's a journey towards a healthier life, and it reduces anxiety, discomfort from our lives. It's a great way to take care of yourselves. And I also want to definitely say that psychology and neurology is a very real study. We do work with psychologists, neurologists, counselors, so many professionals to bring you guys the best of what we can. To enroll, you guys can just scan that QR code right over there. And this is a free session survey that's on the side of the enrollment QR code. And this is not supposed to be scanned now or done now. This is just so when you guys do start the Rewind program, before you start it, we want to get some data, and then after you do it, we have a post-session survey so then we can get data of like how you feel afterwards. This is all very much examined and studies by the scientists that work with UNESCO BMW. And talking about that, this is just a list of people that work with UNESCO BMW who are professionals. They have PhDs, they have doctorates. Some of them are counselors and nurses. Like, there's many professions here. If you want more information about their research, you can definitely go on our website or even email us at info@unescobmw.org. We love to answer questions, and we would love for you guys to be a part of this. And I'm just going to hand the mic over to Stephen.
Okay, so, this, I call it the inner journey of the heart. It's just a little snippet of what we do with Rewind for a Better Life. Give you a little taste of what you can experience with it. It's scientifically, it has a scientific method foundation from the West. It also incorporates the cultural wisdom of the East, so we kind of blend those two together. So I just ask that you be open to the experience, without any kind of judgment, just allow it to be your own inner space. We're going to close our eyes if you feel comfortable. I encourage you to do that, so you can go inside with your attention. And we're in a safe space here, so we can all enjoy it together. And by doing it together, we strengthen and nurture each other, because we're not, we have separate bodies, but we are in unity and oneness as a collective conscious awareness. So we are really one. So we can really support each other in this process. So let's be comfortable. It's helpful to have your feet uncrossed, your legs uncrossed, if possible. And have your hands in your lap, palms up, just open, receptive to the experience. If you close your eyes, I would encourage you to do that, because you can then bring your attention inward. Sometimes it's helpful if you are wearing glasses, like myself, to just take your glasses off, put them aside. So what we're going to tap into is that our own innate chi energy, or that vital force energy within ourselves. We're going to refer to it as simply inner energy. And we're going to request that inner energy to do the living work for this experience of going within our heart space, taking us into a beautiful space of unity and harmony beyond all of the distractions, garbage, inputs, outputs that are distracting us and bothering us. We don't have to be identifying them, because when we go through this experience, they kind of just dissipate, like clouds popping, going past, beyond. So let's start to put attention on our breath. We'll breathe in along our spine, bring our breath up along our spine, in tandem with this chi energy of ours, I'll refer to as inner energy, all the way up to the crown of our head and beyond our thinking mind. So we're in that hovering space, that witness state. Pausing there, and then just let that breath drape over us in tandem with this inner energy, kind of like a bathing and cleansing, just draping over us. It's that releasing, that letting go, the intention of just letting go. Again, breathe in, all the way up and beyond our thinking mind in that witness state. Pausing there, and then exhaling and just letting go. So now, let's place our right hand on our heart space. Let's invite this inner energy to our heart space. So we can start to commune with our heart space, that emotional intelligence that knows unconditional love, compassion, peace and harmony, and joy. You want to go beyond restrictions that we may have in our heart space that we're not even aware of. So let's simply say to ourselves, as an affirmation, sounding to ourselves, inner energy, and please have that beautiful unconditional love and compassion first and foremost for myself. It has to start with ourselves. Let's just say this a few times to ourselves. Take a nice deep breath into our heart space. Feel that expansion beyond all boundaries, limitations that we may be feeling, that we're aware of, or unaware of. And please have beautiful, unconditional love, compassion, and joy, which is our birthright to have. It's our right to have. Now let's bring our right hand to the left corner of our neck. Let's turn our head to the right. Our right hand is toward the back of our neck. And here we invite this beautiful inner energy to help us dissipate all the heaviness, burdens that we may be carrying on our shoulders that we're aware of or unaware of. Makes no difference. And here we say, I'm worthy of self-respect. I'm worthy of dignity. No matter what choices I may have made in the past, no matter what foibles and missteps, we're learning, we're growing, evolving. That's what it's all about, to grow and evolve. So let's simply say to ourselves a few times as an affirmation, I'm worthy of self-respect. I do not condemn myself at all. Let's say this a few more times to ourselves with conviction from our heart space. And now, let's clasp our forehead with our right hand and spread our fingers and thumb so we have a little bit of firm pressure on our temples. Bow our head down into our hand. And why do we want to do that? We want to defer to the richness of our heart space. And here, we ask this inner energy to enlighten our brain and to bring down the false institutions of our mind. Our ego, all its bunciousness and impatience, and superego with all its emotional discords, habits and conditionings and falsehoods. I want to surrender them, just that intention. So we simply say to ourselves, I give away the power of love and compassion of my heart space. I give away the power of love and compassion of my heart space. Let's say this a few times to ourselves. It's real intention, desire. Now let's bring our hand to the crown of our head. We can push our palm firmly to the crown of our head, extend our fingers and thumb, and rotate our scalp under our palm clockwise several times. And here, we simply say, inner energy, please give me that state of integration. Integration with the collective conscious awareness harmony, universal harmony, and balance, and universal love. Being part and parcel with the richness of nature's harmony, we also become that part of that harmony. So simply stated, please give me that state of integration. Please give me that state of integration. Let's say this a few times to ourselves. Now let's bring our hand up anywhere between 2 and 10 inches above the top of the head. And let's claim this beautiful space between the top of the head and where our hand is as our witness state, our observation state, where we're above all the dramas, residual tensions, and balances that we may be carrying. So we can simply watch them more easily. And with this beautiful inner energy flow, it helps us slow down the thoughts, images, colors, so we can see them more easily for what they are, distractions, deviations, and just simply let them go by. Just watch them float by like clouds moving by, without grabbing them, without embellishing them, without doing anything with them. We're in a state right now to be beyond all distractions. So let's bring our hand back down, and our lap, palm up, open, receptive. And let's enjoy this space individually and collectively. All at the same location, all with the same intention, all the same point of supporting each other. Let's enjoy it in silence for a minute or two to see how things can be reset the bar to a nice harmony and balance that we're always yearning to have, moment by moment. If distractions start to overwhelm, you just simply open your eyes up briefly and then close your eyes again. With gentle tension above the top of your head, without forcing. Now we can start to slowly open up our eyes. And as we do so, let's see how we are perceiving the space that we're in right now. Does it feel more loving, more gentle, more kind, more balanced and harmonic? If it is, of course, it's because it's coming from within ourselves first and foremost. Welcome back, everyone. So, just a little bit of feedback from you all about your experience. Some of you may have felt more of an inner sense of security. Some may have felt and/or some greater compassion and empathy toward oneself, first and foremost. And/or, and probably most importantly, a feeling of decluttering from our thoughts, from the distractions that tend to overwhelm us at times. Just curiosity, show of hands, for those that felt one or more of these interactions. I appreciate a show of hands. Great. Charlotte, people. Great. Yeah. This is a little taste of what we do with this rewind. And we came up with the name Rewind because we're starting anew. We're starting refreshing and refresh our computer. So everything from the past is just really not there. I mean, it's only to be still alive through our memory, but that's from the past. So we're really refreshing to be in the present. We're dynamic and alive, and fully engaged, and fully balanced.
So closing takeaways. I want you guys to think to yourselves, what is one small action you can take to reduce stigma in your community? As we said, that change starts within you first. So if anyone is willing to share, just to yell out, like, is there anything you guys think you guys can do to reduce stigma in your community? Any ideas?
Talk about yourself. Be vulnerable yourself in your own moments. You know, if you want to believe in other people to have room to be vulnerable, we have to take those steps to do it ourselves and find that place to be safe for ourselves, to be vulnerable to others.
Well, that's a great answer. Anyone else? Any steps that we can take to reduce stigma?
I was just gonna say to say the words, like, if you have a mental health issue or a mental health problem, and not to act like it's like, you know.
Addressing the issue?
Take it out of the closet.
Okay, great.
I would say listening without being judgmental.
everyone, yeah, listening, yeah. Some in the front.
In the front?
Normalizing addictions other than substances.
Yeah, there are many addictions like caffeine, sugar, all that stuff, yeah.
So the only way, hi everybody, my name is Barbara Pinnock. So the only way I feel that we can reduce stigma is to show compassion to each other, giving each other eye contact, and energy of love sends through your body. So send that love to people.
It's amazing when we drop into our heart space, we really can be there with them, we really can.
Anyone else? In the back.
I was just gonna say, hi, I'm Sarah, everybody. I was just gonna say, I'm a social worker, and so one of the things that's really big for us is using person-first language to kind of combat stigma. So just being aware of our language and how we speak to people and speak to others, and also if you see a professional or hear a professional, just kind of reminding them to use person-first language.
Oh, that's great.
Very good point.
Awareness of how we speak is a very important thing. Anyone else?
Just witnessing others in their challenges. Just be there, witness them. You don't have to fix everyone. Sometimes just witnessing people and saying, I'm here, gives people a space to start to fix it themselves. Just like this, when we close our eyes and you feel you're in the presence of all these different people that you don't know in safety, like we're all hypervigilant all the time in this country right now. The rhetoric is big, the scare, there's a lot of fear, and finding spaces to be safe, and then being a person who can create that same space and energy where people can take that deep breath and go, I'm safe right here, right now. That is so powerful. I love that, because I'm a big guy. I'm the person people look at like, you're gonna save me today. And like, I'm just like, I don't ask for that. This is a genetic, I didn't do this. But those moments where you can just go, you know what, I'm in the company of safe people. We're in a pride, like primal, like we're primal individuals today in our own flock of humans who are looking after each other and looking for the other flocks out there to support them. Like this is a really special time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, in this country, everything's about action orientation. So we're gonna make it clear that we're not here to fix things for you and give you these magic bullets, but simply to be there to listen to you, be there from your heart.
That's very important. So some ideas that we had to take like small actions to reduce stigma in the community is first educating children, friends, and family. As you can see in our education system, we do sometimes have meditation. We do have some time for children to be themselves. And of course we encourage socializing, we encourage family time, all that stuff. So education is probably the first thing that we need to do so people aren't unaware. Learning more about psychology and normalizing conversations about it. Yes, psychology is a very real subject. Many people have PhDs in it. There are many studies going on in psychology. It's still a very big mystery, but at the same time, knowing that it exists and having conversations about it is very important. And supporting people in low periods, like you all said, supporting others. We all have low periods, we all have high periods. Yeah, it's very natural, it's very normal for us to go through mental health problems. Sometimes we're not feeling great, and that's okay to acknowledge that. And having time for yourselves, having time for other people. When you're in your high, you can make other people feel great too. My grandfather would always say you can walk in a room and make 100 people feel bad, or make 1,000 people feel great. So it's really your energy. Yeah, it is. It's really your energy that you're bringing out to other people. And the next thing you can obviously do is choose to be a part of somebody else's healing journey. There are a lot of people that do need help. There are a lot of people that are going through mental health crises in nursing homes, in asylums and stuff like that. We're hearing all these stories, and it's not fake news. It's obviously real. We can be a part of somebody else's healing journey. I'm I'm sure all of us know someone that is going through something, and we can always sit there, talk to them, and be a good friend. And always remember, awareness plus empathy equals change.
Yes, definitely being there for someone you love and or a friend that needs some support. A good listener from the heart is the best therapy, truly.
Yes. And thank you for listening to us. If you guys have any questions, please email us at info@unescobmw.org or just go to our website. We have a bunch of information. We also have folders that have a bunch of information about us, and we can also answer any of your questions when you guys just talk to us. We're gonna-
So I have some extra folders in case someone wants one that's not available at the table.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Be part of this great enormous gathering happening. Thank you.
And all of you are very interactional. I really liked everybody that spoke. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Stephen and Satya. That was great. I forgot to mention prior to the presentation that I actually went through the Rewind program myself.